families of the hostages still in captivity in Gaza are still waiting for word on their loved ones on day 90 of the war after the abductions on the 7th of October by Hamas terrorists. The IDF confirming just a short while ago the number of hostages in captivity is now at 136 after confirmation that 3 civilians considered missing are actually believed to be hostages as well. Now, the hostages inside Gaza include 23-year-old Evyatar David, who was at the Nova Music Festival. Hours into the attack, his family figured out through the Telegram app that he had been abducted. They saw a photograph with a flashlight being shone on him. Another photograph put up later by Hamas showed him with his hands tied onto the shoulders of an armed terrorist, the army later confirming that he had in fact been taken hostage inside Gaza. So we now welcome Ely David, the brother of Evyatar David, and he joins us from Colorado in the United States. Eli, thank you so much for speaking to us. I cannot imagine the pain you and your family are going through. I understand you are on a public awareness trip in Colorado and New York with the Miriam Institute. Tell us about your experience there and the reaction you are getting to highlight the plight of your brother and all the hostages inside Gaza.
So, thank you, Benita. Right now, we traveled all the way to Colorado from Israel with the Miriam Institute. We're here to meet especially Jewish communities, influencers, people who has the power to really do something. And we hope that it will bring good things and maybe follow-up meetings. After Colorado, we continue to New York to continue with our meetings. It's not the first time we're doing it. We also went to London with the Miriam Institute for the same reasons, also to meet with officials and representatives. And most of the time, the reaction we're getting is that they are with us. People want to help. People they need this awareness for to continue working and pushing the subject. We also believe that anyone can do things in order to help the situation, writing elected officials, giving them a phone call, and so on.
The youngest hostage in captivity is baby Kfir Bibas. He just turned 1 year old this week in captivity in Gaza. Is it your sense, the people you're speaking to, do they know this? Do they know that a baby was abducted at the age of 9 months and has just turned 1 inside Gaza at the hands of terrorists? Do they know this?
Some of them do, some of them don't. My brother also turned 23 last week in captivity, which is crazy and absurd. And it's also absurd that we need to, not only a baby that turned 1 year old, but also young people who the only crime they committed was living their lives, celebrating at a peace festival, and they're being punished by being held captive inside the Gaza Strip, and they're living through hell. And each day that passes, the danger is getting bigger. The danger to their lives is getting bigger. It's urgent for us to release them. We can only assume what abuse they're being, mental abuse and physical abuse each day. And also my brother, for being a young man, a civilian who did no harm, but he is a young man. He may be considered as a threat to them. So he will be, we fear that people of the world will forget about my brother, about other young men in that age, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 20s. It doesn't matter. And we are here to fight for them, to fight for my brother and the others, and amplify their voices to be heard, because right now, nobody is doing enough to release them.
It's just so hard to think, as you say, marking a birthday in captivity, turning 23. He has such a beautiful smile. He looks so full of life. He was at a music festival. Do you know anything in terms of whether he was injured or not? You had seen photographs. There has been so much concern around the Red Cross not getting to one of the hostages being held there of any age, not Kfir Bibas, not your brother, not elderly peacekeepers who we know were injured, peace activists who were injured during the abduction. What is your sense there when you're touring in the United States about the concern about the Red Cross or the lack of reaction from the Red Cross? What are you hearing there?
I think that the energy we are injecting right now to the subject should be directed to Hamas and Qatar and Egypt to imply pressure on them, on the Qataris, on the Egyptians, because the Red Cross, really, their hands are kind of tied. I don't trust them. I don't believe they can do anything significant. We need to keep the pressure on the Qataris, on the Egyptians, and demand Hamas to let the Red Cross enter. And it will happen only if Hamas and the Qataris or the Egyptians will allow it, or maybe Iran, which Hamas is a proxy of Iran. So that's the focus I think we need, not on the Red Cross especially, but on the terror organization and the people that have influence on them.
Do you feel a level of optimism in terms of the details and the feedback that you have been getting from Israeli leaders about moves towards some kind of hostage release deal? What is your sense?
We're getting a positive feedback. I think that our leaders really intend to release all of them at all costs. But we understand that it's very difficult, and we cannot do it alone. We need America beside us. We need Europe beside us. We need the free world beside us. We tend to forget that this subject is a humanitarian issue. There's so many nationalities being held captive right now in so many ages, and that's something we tend to forget, that it should be a humanitarian issue. It's not Israel against Palestine. It's not Israel against terror. It's a problem of humanity against evil, against terror. This kind of events, unfortunately, can happen anywhere else in the world, and we have to fight for the good together.
And certainly there are calls around the country to make sure that all hostages are released, children, elderly, men, women, and that is a very important message as well. We are looking at the photographs of your brother, Evyatar. Tell us a bit about him.
I'd love to. My brother is a very kind person and a humble person. Is that kind of a guy that if you have a problem, you go to talk to him because he listens and gives you smart advice. He's very talented on the guitar. We love to play together and sing together, and I miss that so much, to play with him and sing with him. And he's such a loving son to my parents, and such an amazing brother and a friend. And I just want to hug him again, see him again, say to him that I love him, that his family loves him, and that everyone are fighting for him. And I know that he is alive. And we saw on the videos that Hamas posted that he's walking. He looked okay. And that's how we want to get him back, safe and sound, on his feet.
The whole nation is hoping that that is going to happen and that you and your brother Evyatar will get to make music together again. We wait for good news. We hope for good news. Ely David, thank you so much for speaking to us live from Colorado in the United States. Thank you. We wait for good news.
Thank you. Thank you so much.